Okay, so in today's video, we're gonna be building this. Not both of them, wrong one, just this one. What we're gonna do is we're gonna build this one, but we're gonna try and leave the fins off. Because today we're gonna test and see what a rocket does when it doesn't have any fins on the bottom of it and nothing else to stabilize it. So yeah, let's get to building. Okay, so we've got the finished rocket here. Comes with these, which you're supposed to break these out of the wood and take them out, but nobody really cares about those. Today, we're talking about what happens when you don't have fins. It doesn't look very pretty because I had to cover up the holes for the fins with some extra that came with it. Just put some random stickers over it. Pretty basic. You're supposed to spray paint it, but I don't have any spray paint on me. So we're just gonna launch this thing and see what it does, see where it goes, see what happens. Future Noah here, coming to tell you why rockets do what you just saw in the video and how real rockets fly today. In the last video, we saw what happens when you take fins off a rocket. It wobbles around, spins out, or just completely loses control. But real spacecraft like the Falcon 9, Atlas V, or Ariane 5 don't use fins at all. They're steered entirely by their engines. So how do rockets actually steer? There are two main methods: fins and thrust vector control. Let's start with fins. Fins are basically wings for stability. They work by interacting with the air around the rocket the same way feathers stabilize an arrow. On small hobby rockets, they're fixed in place and they keep the rocket flying straight. On more advanced rockets or missiles, you'll sometimes see steerable fins, almost like little rudders. They can actively guide the rocket. The downside, they only work when there's air. Once the rocket climbs high enough, the atmosphere thins out and the fins lose their effectiveness. That's why all orbital rockets don't bother with them. Fins are dead weight in space. Now on to thrust vector control. Instead of relying on air, rockets steer by literally pointing their engines. The engines can gimbal or swivel, so the exhaust plume angles slightly. It's almost like holding a fire hose. Wherever you aim it, you're going to get pushed in the opposite direction. By just a few degrees of the engine movement, the rocket can pitch up, down, left and right, and even roll. Thrust vector control has another big advantage. It works in space. You don't need air, you just need thrust. That's why rockets like the Falcon 9, Ariane 5, and Atlas V fly with no fins at all. They don't need them. Even during the atmospheric part of the flight, thrust vector control is strong enough to keep them stable. Planes are a good comparison. Airplanes mainly use control surfaces like flaps, rudders, and elevators that push against the air to steer. But some advanced jets, like the F-22 Raptor, also use thrust vectoring nozzles that lets them pull off some insane aerobatic movements that control surfaces alone can never manage. Rockets are kind of the same story. Small ones stick with fins, big orbital ones use thrust vector control. Some rockets use both though. The space shuttle, for example, had small fins called body flaps that helped during the launch and re-entry, but its engines did all the heavy lifting for steering. Early rockets, like the V2, had fins too, because the engineers were still figuring out thrust vector control. Over time, as engines became more advanced, the fins became less necessary. So to sum it up, fins are lightweight, simple, and work well near the ground in thick air. Thrust vector control is more complex, but it's incredibly powerful. It works in space at any altitude, and it's how real orbital rockets fly today. And that's why when you take the fins off a little model rocket like we did earlier, it freaks out. Unlike the Falcon 9 or Atlas V, it doesn't have steerable engines. All it's got are those fins, and without them, it's basically just along for the ride. Now back to Noah from the past. 3, 2, 1.